Well, the deep state desperately wants Kamala Harris to become the next president of the United States. She will continue the wide open border policies of the United States to replace American workers with illegal immigrants. She will continue the war in Ukraine and the multiple wars carried out by the Biden administration. She will continue the multi-billion-dollar-a-year child trafficking operation run by the DHS and Alejandro Mayorkas. We've documented that. The Senate has documented that. That's not fake news. That's real. There are billions of dollars on the line right now, so the deep state desperately wants this to continue. So that's why the FBI and intelligence agencies are now ramping up their efforts to censor news ahead of the 2024 election to make sure that you vote the way they want. This growing collaboration between the government and social media giants threatens both our First Amendment rights as Americans and the integrity of the electoral process in the United States. But they don't give a shit. In fact, they are driving America into the toilet. We just learned about a new Department of Justice memo dated July 12th, 2024. Interestingly, that's one day before the assassination attempt of President Trump, by the way. The memo comes from the Associate Deputy Attorney General George Turner, and he explains how the FBI has been actively increasing its coordination with social media companies to censor news and information. It is an unbelievable read. I encourage all of you to go and actually read the entire thing. What it deems as foreign malign influence information. This is a continuation of efforts that began back in February of this year. So what the hell does foreign malign influence even mean? Well, the term applies a stunning 263 times in this memo. And of course, legal experts say it's so broad and it's so nebulous that it really doesn't mean anything. So how do we even define foreign malign influence? Well, we can't. Did you know that America, by the way, has a department of foreign malign influence to help us define it? In fact, this is right from the Department of Foreign Malign Influence. Where do you work? I work at the Foreign Malign Influence Department. What? What does that even mean? I don't know. I just go there every morning. That's my job. I bring a sandwich. So this is the Foreign Malign Influence Department. Here, let's see if this clears it up. This is how they describe. Can you believe they have a foreign malign influence center in the United States? So this is how they describe it, okay? When foreign actors exploit public discussions protected by free speech, educational institutions protected by academic freedom, and open economies protected by the free market to influence how Americans think, act, and make decisions via subversive, undeclared, coercive, or criminal means, we call this foreign malign influence. Does that settle it for you?
Wait. It says when foreign actors, if you go back to that, Philip, it says when foreign actors, but like we found on Twitter that the U.S. is doing it. So is that, do they not care about local malign, like domestic malign?
No, see, this is where it's so nebulous. What does it mean to be foreign? What does it mean to be foreign? Exactly. It's such a nebulous category.
I mean, you could say that person wanted something I don't like and they drink French press coffee, which is foreign influence. Right. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Exactly. We don't have it. It's such a nebulous term. What is concerning, of course, is that this wildly absurd definition can be used to curb free speech and restrict access to critical information, which is exactly what they want. That might not align with prevailing administrative perspective. So they can go after critical information, important information. For instance, remember when the FBI used this classification for the Hunter Biden laptop story, foreign maligned information. They reported at the time by the New York Post's Miranda Devine. Her reporting, of course, was spot on and now has been vindicated. But that didn't stop the FBI from using the foreign malign influence carve-out to censor that content from Facebook and other social media platforms. Foreign actors are trying to sway our election. You've got to suppress this Hunter Biden laptop story.
Oh, so the Hunter Biden laptop thing makes sense now too.
Oh yes, We'll get there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, COVID, exactly. So the Hunter Biden laptop story was initially dismissed as Russian disinformation by 51 former intelligence officials. The narrative was then further pushed by social media companies like Twitter and Facebook. They throttled the story's reach on their platforms. Remember?
The FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it turned out after the fact. I mean, the fact checkers looked into it. No one was able to say it was false.
Yeah, exactly. It sucks after the fact. After the election, it sucks, doesn't it? The Hunter Biden laptop story was, of course, initially dismissed as Russian disinformation, and they all went along with it. What's more stunning, even more than the censorship, is the fact that the FBI hid that story from Americans. Interestingly, the suppression occurred despite the fact that the FBI already had authenticated the laptop's contents as early as November 2019. Almost a year before. They knew the laptop was real. So a year earlier, the FBI knew the laptop was real, knew the emails were real, knew the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop was real, and the FBI kept that information from the American people in a coordinated strategic effort, meeting with social media companies, and it's happening all over again. In other words, the FBI interfered in the American election. Bottom line. So this new FBI memo, this new Department of Justice memo, suggests that the FBI will resume regular meetings with social media companies. It says right here in bold text. Again, you can read it for yourself. They're going to be coordinating and having regular meetings with social media companies. Because
the Supreme Court failed to disallow them to in a most recent case. So that case was not about whether or not the American government had censored Americans. It had. Whether or not that was a First Amendment violation, it was. That case was only dismissed on a technicality. So there are other cases still working their way through the courts, and hopefully they will disallow or remove this ability for the government to do this. But for the time being, they are still doing it because they are allowed to do it.
Right. So in fact, this memo points out how they regularly meet with social media companies, but they had no formalized process in place to share information and meet with them. But now they do. Now they've formalized this process. They formalized it as a result of February of this year. So their new policy, these regular meetings between social media companies like Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram, TikTok, they say will serve to brief and discuss potential foreign malign influence threats. So make no mistake about it, they will use these meetings under the umbrella of foreign line influence to justify censorship. That's exactly what they're doing, just like they did with the Hunter Biden laptop case. And, as David pointed out a few seconds ago, the COVID vaccine. Why did the Biden administration meet with social media companies to censor content about COVID vaccines? Of course, that had nothing to do with foreign malign influence. What about the Supreme Court, you might be asking? Well, it's incredibly alarming when we consider the landmark Supreme Court case at Murphy versus Missouri, which was decided back in June of 2024. Of course, we covered that here on the show. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, ruled that the federal government could continue its collaboration with big tech to censor speech that it deems unfavorable, even if such posts contain factually correct information.
Although the court's main dismissal of that case was for standing. It was about who had been damaged and why. The court did agree that the government had done this, and most of the justices agreed that this was inappropriate. So even though we're going to go over some of the things that might have been a little bit more concerning about their opinions, there are other cases. I refer you to the video that Jed Rosenfeld did on YouTube about this very case and why it fell apart at the seams and what cases we can still hang our hat on. Yeah.
Grab our butts on.
Hold on. Yeah. Get excited about whatever you want to do.
So, of course, remember Justice Amy Coney Barrett, of course, who's a Trump appointee, who authored the majority opinion on this, said the censorship is necessary to counter foreign interference campaigns. So she sided with the side of censorship on this. Samuel Alito basically lost his mind in his decision. He said, no freaking way. He said this decision is blatantly unconstitutional and said that it undermines the very foundation of free speech and it would be remembered regretfully in the future. I'm remembering it regretfully right now. And because the FBI is using this basically right now as a blanket of protection. I guess until these other cases are able to make their way through the Supreme Court. So I would argue that this FBI and intelligence agency suppression of information isn't happening in a vacuum. It has significant implications for the upcoming 2024 elections. Again, Hunter Biden. A poll showed that they had they known about the corruption of Biden and Hunter Biden, the collusion with Ukraine, all of that, the emails and the laptop story, they would not have voted for Vice President Biden for president. It would have altered their mind about the election. But because they didn't have that access to that information, the FBI saw to that, well, then their minds were made up for them. So they could vote however the FBI wanted. I would further argue that our republic hinges on people being informed. All of you people watching right now, there's tens of thousands of you on YouTube and Rumble and X right now watching this show. We have a right to have access to all the information that you need in order to make a decision. Not that the government tells you what you can have access to. You know, as our friend Tucker likes to point out, most of the major media organizations, the corporate media, you know, you're talking CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they lie every day by omission. It's what they don't tell you. It's what they conveniently leave out of stories. So the mainstream media is doing that. And now the FBI colluding with social media companies to make sure you don't have access to certain information because they can use this nebulous term of foreign malign influence. It's incredibly disturbing. So right now, big tech companies are actively censoring negative stories about the Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris. This is, again, by omission. This is a coordinated effort to control the narrative, to sanitize information and suppress negative views. I find this absolutely despicable. According to the Daily Caller this morning, dystopian shit. Kamala Harris' online support is well-funded and inauthentic, influencers claim. Here it is. The Kamala is brat TikTok trend, among other viral Kamala Harris meme videos, are likely an astroturfed effort by the Harris campaign and her allies to manufacture appeal to younger voters. Several Gen Z online content creators told the Daily Caller. Almost immediately after Harris became the presumptive Democratic nominee, old clips of her speaking spread online like wildfire, often adapted into memes meant to make Harris look cool or humorous. Democrats proclaim that the videos are evidence of organic excitement about Harris. But some content creators claim they were solicited to post about Harris in exchange for money. Oh, while others say the effort looks astroturfed as opposed to being grassroots. Of course it's not grassroots. What, like, young TikTokers are like, Kamala Harris?
She's so brat.
Well,
she's so brat.
Like, one thing that I noticed is like you see their events that they're doing and they're in these little rooms and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, like within a day, she's filling stadiums. Like, I'm like, are they inviting like Taylor Swift to perform and then she's sneaking on after and being like, this is my event, give everybody a sign? Like, what is going on that it looks like she has
Megan
that
Thee
much
Stallion.
support?
It was the rapper who was at the rally on Monday. Yeah. It was a rap concert, kind of couched as a Kamala Harris rally.
Oh,
so that's why everybody was leaving as she was starting to talk.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't attend.
That's a brilliant move. Send Kamala out to stadiums that are already filled with people who aren't there to see her at all, and then she shows up on the stage like, "Hey, everybody!"
Right? No, it's a move straight out of the Obama campaign where they used Beyonce and other notable faces that you might want to see in person.
So as Elon Musk tweeted, do a search for Donald Trump rally on Google. As Elon tweets, just did a search for Trump rally on Google and Kamala was the top result. Isn't it unbelievable? Instead of giving you Donald Trump rally results, you get Kamala Harris rally videos. Because Google doesn't want you to see Donald Trump rallies. They want you to, start liking Kamala. That's the goal, right? If you want to have some fun and test this for yourself, try to share the following clip of Kamala Harris being interviewed by CNN's Jake Tapper. This is brand new, by the way, okay? This is not old. Try sharing it on any platform other than X. Good luck. Try sharing it on Facebook and see how long it is until it gets removed or your account gets in trouble for sharing this video. Here she explains how she would provide free health care and education to illegal immigrants. Watch.
Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Period. Now try to share that video. See how well it goes for you. So now the FBI openly admits they're working hand in hand with private companies like Google and Facebook to censor information related to the 2024 upcoming election. They will determine what you see and hear. They've put it in writing. They've formalized their approach to sharing content that they want censored. This is absolutely chilling, in my opinion. People may become fearful of speaking out, may become fearful of posting a video like that or sharing information on social media for fear of retribution. Maybe they'll be worried that their Facebook accounts will be shut down, God forbid. And what if you engage in content that the FBI deems, is undesirable? Will you will you be monitored and watched by the FBI and the CIA? We've already seen plenty of videos over the past couple of months of the FBI showing up at people's houses, knocking on their doors, questioning them about posts they've made on Facebook. Really? What are you doing at my house? Because I posted something on Facebook that you don't deem part of your narrative. You're at my house? Really? Go ahead, David.
Well, I was just going to say, and like they manipulate the results. Like if you search for Donald Trump, most of the stuff is, Project 25 and all that stuff that he said he's not part of or whatever, the agenda. So it's like they're manipulating, like this is actual election interference, and they're just serving up like whatever narrative they want you to think. So it's like you could get, if you search Donald Trump, you might be like, okay, this person is certain they're a right wing, nut job. So we better watch them.
Right. And what we learned in the White Women for Kamala Harris call over the weekend is you are responsible for your algorithm. So they clearly want you to see what you should be searching for versus what you should not be searching for. I mean, I guess any of us who are readers, we know anytime you put in a book that might be considered wrong, they're like, no, you want Prince Harry's book. You want Barack Obama's book or Michelle Obama's book, right? They're trying to push you into a certain algorithm. And I feel every day like I'm fighting against that algorithm. Like, no, I want to see this. I want to see what is behind this. I want to watch this video. So the algorithm is not our friend.
That's the thing that it pisses me off the most is that they're telling you what they don't want you to do by doing it to you. Like we're trying to protect you from what we're doing to you.
Yeah.
You have wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep you in a protective bubble so you don't have access to information that might be posted on a, Al Jazeera website or an Israeli website or a
redacted newsletter.
A redacted newsletter
Right.
or a Russian website or an Uzbekistan website. Like we want to protect you. We want to protect you from information. As Lux Dove in our chat says, this is the UK playbook that is happening right now. It's exactly what they want for the United States. Yeah, the United Kingdom. Exactly. Thank you, Lux. So I'll say this. Think about how this warps our perception of reality, right? How many people do you know kind of around you that maybe don't follow the news a lot? They don't watch Redacted. They're not informed. And I don't say like if you watch Redacted, you're informed. I think we try to question everything here on this show. We try to present you with the facts and not force anything down your throat. You make a decision about who you want to vote for. That's totally up to you, of course, not what we deem is the narrative. So how many people have like a warped perception of reality because they're just spoon-fed Google News or Apple News and they get their information from CNN or FoxNews.com, right?
And just repeat things like the COVID vaccine was very effective and saved lives. I'm like, oh, okay, tell me more about that.
Right.
Why do you think that? Tell me about that.
Right. Can you point me to the studies that show that?
Things like Kamala Harris is an accomplished politician. Okay, tell me more about that. Those are the headlines, but what do you know about it?
So these big tech gatekeepers, they continue to control what we see and hear. Personally, I think it's imperative to recognize and challenge all of these fascist attempts right now to manipulate information, to censor content, to question everything. And it's only going to get worse over the next 90 days ahead of the election. So grab your butts. Grab your hats.
That's not it. It's hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. Grab your hats. Don't let them manipulate you guys. Question everything. All right, we've got more news to get to here on your Thursday.
Can I say something real quick before we?
Yeah, please.
To give credit where credit is due, because this is so rare. But in that interview that you just played with Kamala talking to Jake Tapper, she said, "Let me be clear. And then directly following that, she made a declarative statement. And I about fell out of my chair. Because I'm just not used to that. Usually when I hear the words, let me be clear, it is just like word salad that's just obfuscation and confusion ensues. So I'm like, I was actually taken aback by that, and I can admit it. But
She must be in voice coaching.
Yeah, I mean, good for her. Good for her. She's certainly not taking a playbook out of Karine Jean-Pierre's "Let Me Be Clear" playbook. If, by the way, if Karine Jean-Pierre ever writes a book, because they all do, you know, when they leave, it should be called "Let Me Be Clear." Let me be clear.
Sure.
And it should
I've
be
been incredibly
absolutely confusing, just totally mind blowing. Like what is going on? Why is there a flash forward and a flashback?